After a dramatic final Jeopardy wager, he won the 2025 Jeopardy Masters Tournament. We welcome back to AM Northwest, Vancouver's own Yogesh Raut. Yogesh, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm kind of mad at you though, because when you were here last, you knew you had won, and you didn't give one even minutia of a in your face, no expression that you had won. Was that tough to hold that all in?
I mean, I've had a lot of practice now. I've been in multiple tournaments.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they make you sign stuff, and it's pretty intense,
Oh.
So I just err on the side of caution.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at that trophy, and that's incredible. You just opened it. They sent it to you, FedEx. Tell me.
Yeah, in the green room, I brought it in a box into the green room, and the producer Steve and we all kind of opened it together, and there were some. It was so in order to make sure it didn't get damaged, it was really bolted in there, so it was a little more complicated than I expected to open.
So this is the first time we're seeing it when it's yours.
Yeah.
Do you know where you're going to put it in your apartment?
I haven't really given that a lot of thought.
Yeah. Let's talk about the game and how it went, because it was pretty intense.
Definitely.
Walk it through for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, Victoria and I had both sort of been, semi-cruising through the previous rounds and getting to the semifinal.
Victoria Gross.
Victoria Gross, yeah. And going into the third semifinal game, the one I wasn't going to play in, I basically knew that if she won, I'd be in a very good position. And I did tell her, well, I guess I have to root for you now. Then when I saw how she dismantled the opposition, I was like, maybe I shouldn't have encouraged her that much.
Yeah. And then you said there was kind of, after the first game, before the next game, you had to have a talk with yourself.
Yeah, I mean, first I had to have kind of a talk with the producers, because the previous game had ended. Juveria had been what's called in the red, not able to play Final Jeopardy.
Right.
I did play, but my answer was ruled incorrect, and I lost all of my points. I had been fairly confident that my answer was correct, because I was using a term that was synonymous with a correct response, and I didn't realize that they were going to be quite that strict.
Oh.
Yeah, so, but I, coming back into the green, Juveria asked me, are you going to protest that? And I hadn't really thought of it, because I was like, surely they put a lot of thought in advance into what they accept. But then I thought, I mean, just with the stakes as high as they are, may as well put in sort of a pro forma, request for review.
Right.
I did, and as I expected, it was declined. So, I was basically starting the second game in an over 14,000 point hole.
Wow.
Yeah, and with this much at stake, I was basically kind of had to, go into the bathroom, look in the mirror, and be like, either, you spend the rest of your life regretting not slightly changing your spelling on that previous Final Jeopardy, or you go out there and pull off the highest stakes comeback in the history of Jeopardy and make it not matter. Those were really only the two options I had.
And this is what you did. This is when you did. Tell me about that last question, that final winning question.
Yeah, I looked at, I basically knew it was kind of do or die. There was, whoever got this right, and I knew that, it was going to be an art. Victoria is extremely strong in art, Juveria is extremely strong in art. I couldn't count on them missing it, so I basically had to get it right. During the break before Final Jeopardy, the producer came up and gave us instructions on how we were supposed to act when the winner was announced. We were all supposed to know, going and hugging each other the way we had in the past. We all had to stand right on our mark on the podium. And I completely missed everything she was saying, because I was running through every single painting I had ever encountered in my life in my head.
Oh, wow. When you think about the subjects that you're good at, what would you say would be your favorite subject?
I mean, I think, I'm very strong on movies and television,
Right.
Pop culture in general. Yeah, I try to, have a good grounding in history and literature or science as well. But, this is Jeopardy. They'll pull out any, random category,
Right.
Stuff. Animals, foods, I haven't eaten, consumer products I haven't, ever used. It could be anything.
But you really work at this. I mean, you study every day, it seems like.
I try not to make it study, because
Right.
you know, and there are many people in the Jeopardy world and the quizzing world in general who have flashcarding apps, who have huge decks, and I admire those people quite a bit. They have much more discipline, much more self-discipline, and ability to stick with it than I do. I have to make it interesting to myself. That's why, you know, I run my blog, I run my podcast, I seek out new information, and then I try to turn it into a story, and then I try and share it with other people and make it, you know, come alive and be interesting to me, and then come alive and be interesting to other people.
Right. You won $500,000, and then you got $100,000 that's going to be donated to the charity of your choice, which is the Equal Justice Initiative. Tell me about that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, as I said on the show, equality and justice are very, you know, important for me, and you know, this is an organization that certainly works to, you know, ameliorate injustice, systemic injustices that exist in, you know, the justice system, and you know, has a very solid reputation and a long and established history.
Are you going to do anything fun with the 500,000? I mean, you're now in 6th place overall.
Yeah, you know, I got a text from Madame Odio congratulating me, and I was like, you know, it means a lot coming from a fellow member of the Two Commas Club.
To explain that, because it's the money.
Yeah, I mean, only 6 people have, you know, outside of celebrity tournaments, only 6 people have won more than $1 million on
Right.
Jeopardy. Yeah.
What did your parents think? They live in Illinois,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they were very overwhelmed, really. They knew how long you know, I think I talked briefly on the show about how when I was 4 years old, you know, I was on TV for the first time on the local news, you know, as a child prodigy. And since then, you know, people have been telling me, oh, you have to go on Jeopardy, and I've been trying out, you know, I tried probably for the teen tournament, definitely the college tournament.
Right.
And then as an adult for decades, I was trying out over and over. And they know exactly how long I've worked, both to sort of build up this knowledge base and to specifically get on Jeopardy. So yeah, it was very overwhelming for them when it finally paid off.
Yeah, you've gotten to know Ken Jennings. I know you can't be friends with him,
Right, yeah.
You have to keep it, you know, official, like business. Has he given you any advice though at all?
Yeah, like you said, we aren't really allowed to have conversations.
Right.
So, you know, when you interact on the stage, that's pretty much the extent
That's it.
of your interaction. Yeah, but you know, I got some very good advice from James Holzhauer.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, where is that trophy going to go in your apartment, Yogesh?
I haven't really given that a lot of thought.
I think you need to take it around grocery shopping in Salmon Creek and see if anyone notices.
I just put it in the passenger seat of my car,
Yeah.
just put the seat belt over it, and just everywhere I go.
But you
it's
haven't decided where it's going to go.
not inside yet, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got a podcast, you've got a blog. We're going to tell everyone all about it. We'll put all that on our website at k2.com. Yogesh, congratulations again. I'm
Thank
so
you.
proud of you. It's awesome. All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.